everyone, Adam and I are just going to do a video on chews because it's something that comes up a lot. We get asked what is an appropriate chew, what is good for puppies, why we think chewing is important, and it's something that we really advocate. So Adam's going to go through in a minute why chewing is important and what benefits the dog gets from chewing. Then he's going to go through, he's got kind of a selection of chews over near him. He's going to go through a selection of what is available in kind of pet shops, kind of the good versus the bad. And then I'm going to go through a box just over here, which is a subscription box. So it gets delivered to your door every month. And they are all natural, fantastic products that we really kind of suggest and recommend.
Yeah, perfect. So I suppose kicking things off is talking about why chewing is important. So it's a natural behaviour for dogs, instinctual behaviour. It's part of a kind of a foraging sequence of grabbing and chewing and mouthing. It's their way of exploring as well. So when they're pups, things that they pick up that might get in a bit of attention from you, or it might taste nice, or it might have a good feeling to it. So that it's more kind of exploratory as well, and then things like teething as well. It becomes really quite painful for pups in the kind of the early stages. It's quite painful, so chewing on something helps to kind of relieve that as well. And the final benefit, not that it's the final one, there's loads of other ones, but the one that we kind of look at most of all is that most dogs will chew at the back of the mouth, and the idea of that is the nerves that end where the jawline meets the skull help to send a signal back through the nervous system to help relax the dog. So it's a good calming exercise. It's a self-soothing exercise. So my job is to talk you through all the stuff that isn't that good for dogs. Although it's really well heavily branded and heavily advertised, it's not that good for dogs. And then I'm going to go through things that are kind of fairly okay, and then other stuff that might take the dog a little bit longer. And then, as Claire rightly said there, she's going to take you on to the stuff that we do recommend and we do start to kind of promote as well. So first one, most common one to kick things off. I couldn't even bring myself to buy one of these, so I printed a picture off, and it is this product. Massively, heavily advertised. Dogs look like they really enjoy it, but there isn't really anything good in terms of the ingredients in there. It's a lot of rubbish, really, not a lot of not so good stuff. They don't really last that long either, and they don't really do the job that they say they do, which is to kind of break all the plaque down and help with daily kind of oral care as well. So really well marketed, but not a great product. So that's this one. Second one to steer clear of is this one, which is they come in all shapes and sizes. This is a rawhide. Again, the way that these rawhides are made will bring tears to your eyes when you see it. There's acid baths, there's bleach baths, they're glued together. It's a big no-no. Plus, there's even been reports, or it's really rare that it's happened, but really rare reports that when the dog starts chewing these rawhides, as they start to get soft, really slippery, and there's been reports where a piece is broken off, it's slipped down to the back of the dog's throat, and they couldn't get it out, and it's caused a fatality.
And you can, if you want to know how rawhides are made, if you Google that or look on YouTube, it's certainly an eye opener. Yeah.
So that one in the bin, we don't use that. Next kind of things on from that, which is slightly better, which are available in most kind of pet shops as well. I suppose the first thing to look for is first thing to talk about is like a vegetable chew. So there's a company called Whimsies that do a lot of really kind of nice, aesthetically pleasing ones. So things like hedgehogs and crocodiles. Yeah, you've got the
Christmas trees at Christmas.
And so whilst they're not perfect, there's still some extra bits in there that potentially isn't going to be that useful for the dogs. It's good. It's a little bit stronger as well, so it'll take them a bit longer to get through. The reason why I always go for long items like this is because most dogs are going to try and pin the item between their front paws and get it right to the back. So anything like that will help to promote that action of getting it to the back of the teeth. So that one, Whimsies or anything vegetable chew wise, is probably your next stage from there.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you what, something I find fascinating is when the dogs do pin that chew down is you can quite often find out if they're left-footed or right-footed, well, left-pawed or right-pawed, because there will always be a dominant foot. So it's just that's just a fascinating kind of distraction there, but something that's really interesting and something that you guys should look out for with your dogs.
Definitely, yeah, great observation. So yeah, that's your vegetable chews. Next thing, kind of on from that, is a buffalo chew. So this one is from a company called Pet Munchies. They also do some treats, some smaller kind of training treat versions. Again, some stuff in there that potentially the dog doesn't need, but fairly strong, so it might take the dog a little bit longer. You can't really bend it too much, so they've got to really kind of chomp through. It's kind of braided as well, so a little bit of extra time spent on that. Low fats on this one, I'm just having a quick look. Low fats, high protein. Whilst it says grain and gluten free, it might be slightly suggestive on that one. But again, that's kind of a nice starting point or entry level if you needed to get something from kind of a local shop or a local pet shop. And then the final one for that is sterilized bones or kind of filled, stuffed marrow bones. These ones are particularly good. I like these because they can be reused. So the dog will access the inner part of the bone. They might chew around the edges and they might kind of break it down a little bit. But once they've taken all the insides out, you can then take that back, refill it, restuff it with some good stuff that you want to use. Pack that back in. You could even freeze it as well, and that goes down for the dog just to chew and explore with. So this one's kind of a borderline between enrichment and a chew, because they might not be able to get that to the back, but they will spend a bit of time on it. So again, something fun for the dogs to do. And then moving up, which is things that I really like to promote for long-lasting chews. These are things that the dog might not be able to get through in a single sitting, but it might take them a few times over, which is really helpful. Is just stuff like the Yak Bars, which is just yak milk, condensed, compressed, dried, however they do it, I have no idea. But this one's a really long-lasting chew. So that, whilst that's quite expensive for that item, it's one of the only downsides of these ones. They do last a really long time. And we were chatting before this, Claire's dog Noodle loves when she gets to the end of that, because it's a little bit too small to actually get a good crunch down on or hold it. If you put that in the microwave, that little small piece at the end in the microwave, it blows up to like a piece of popcorn or a huge piece of popcorn, which the dogs absolutely love as well.
Yeah, it's very popular in our house. I think she prefers the popcorn to the actual yak chew. But it just means that nothing's wasted. So whilst they are expensive, you know, they can last weeks in our household.
Yeah. And you'll find if the dog needs something to engage with, that one and the next one that I'll talk you through can stay down on the ground, and the dogs can then seek that out if they need it, and they can go off and chew and have a grab and a play around. And again, that little self-soothing exercise comes in. So yeah, Yak Bars are one of our firm favourites that are always dotted around the house at some point as well.
Definitely. And what I tend to do is I rotate. So we've got kind of yak chews and all sorts of stuff on the floor. But to make sure that my dog doesn't get bored or kind of just forgets that they're there, I take a few away and then reintroduce them a couple of weeks later, and just kind of move them around the house so that it starts to kind of become a bit more interesting, and they're more likely to engage with them again.
Brilliant. Yeah, great idea. So that's the Yak Bars. Following on from that is another really long-lasting chew, which is an antler. So my advice for this one is always to find an antler that has been split down in half lengthways, or on this one you can see it's been quartered, so you get a nice ridge. The reason for that is the dogs are actually after the marrow on the inside, not the shell on the outside. So if you had a complete chew, what you usually find is the dog chews that end, then they'll chew that end. That goes a bit, you know, instead of it being brown, it goes to white. They'll get as much of the marrow out as they can, and then they get bored and they just leave it. So have something that's open and exposed like that. And if the dog starts to lose interest, there's other bits that you can do, like rub a little bit of coconut oil in there as well, just to freshen it up and neaten it up. And again, those ones can just stay around the house, and as Claire was saying, you can rotate those every few days or a week or so. But these are really good for kind of really tough chewers, dogs that really want to get into something, but they're also good just to leave around for the dog when they need something, and they can go off and again, it's long, so they can hold it, they can have a good chew and a good grab as well. And then the last little bit, which is extremely healthy but not very long lasting, is things like fish skins and fish chews. So the dog will get through this in less than a minute probably, but the benefit that it has is always the after effect. It's not the amount of time they spend chewing and keeping them busy, whilst that is a good kind of bonus, certainly for pups. It's more about the after effect it has. It helps to relax and self-soothe. So fish skins, I think what this one is just a cod bar, 100% cod skin. They can chew through that. Again, it'll take probably less than a minute to get through it for a normal adult-sized dog. But once they're finished, the after effect is nice and calm. So that's your kind of starting points, things to ignore, things to avoid, and then things to start to look out for. And then Claire's now going to take us on a lovely little journey through all the really good stuff that we really promote and really try and get you guys to use for your dogs.
Brilliant. Okay, so this is actually my dog's box. So it's a great example to show you what comes to my door every month. So we promote a company called Shenvalar Pantry, and the link will be in the comments below. So what you can do is you order a specific box, set up a direct debit, and then it comes to your door every month. I find these really useful. So inside we get a little list of what we've got. So some are longer lasting chews, some are shorter lasting chews. It gives them a lot of varieties, and it's really good to give them as many proteins as possible, especially if they're on like a kibble that is just kind of chicken or turkey based. It's nice to introduce as many proteins as you can, because they get different nutrients from different proteins. So I'll give you one warning, is the box does smell a little. Your
dog will definitely hover around wherever the box is placed as soon as it comes.
Indeed.
They know what's inside the box for them.
So it has a kind of animal smell. I put mine straight in the utility, in a cupboard, and it doesn't really smell. When they're chewing them, you can have a kind of slight smell, so you could just pop them in the garden with it. Pop them in the utility, wherever you want, or you can, I let my dog eat it wherever she wants, because it's only going to last, 5 minutes, and then it's gone. Yeah. So I'll just go through what we've got. So first one, we've got Trachea. So it could, don't know if it's beef or lamb. Let's just have a little look. Does beef Trachea? So just cow, and that's just literally the windpipe. They're dried, but they're really hard. The dogs absolutely love them. And they're kind of a nice size for them to get their kind of mouths around. So first one is a bit of Trachea. So next one we've got is a bit of Jerky. So literally chicken jerky. So it's just dried chicken breast. Really, as you can see, really hard. But obviously you can kind of either crunch them up and kind of use them as training treats, or just give them as one. It won't last like really long, but it's kind of just a nice, just added extra. I tend to use these guys as training treats. They're already kind of sliced, so you can kind of get a good bit of grip on them, and split them up, so you can use that pretty much for training treats. Really tasty. Next we're gonna go disgusting. So tripe. So this one does smell quite a lot. So tripe sticks. So tripe is just your stomach lining, pretty much, of a cow. The good thing about tripe is they are like a superfood for dogs. They are so heavily full of nutrients, and I just should kind of point out, this is not like the tripe you can get in the supermarket. That, for human consumption, is bleached. It's always white if you look at it. For the animals, we like using the green tripe, so literally straight from the animal, and then it's dried or kind of produced into food. So it's just comes in little sticks. They'll give that a really good chew. Yes, it smells, but it's absolutely wonderful for them. It's also very good if they've got sensitive stomachs, or if they've got an upset stomach. So I actually feed my dog raw tripe when she has an upset stomach. Yes, it's disgusting, but it seems to settle her stomach far more than something like rice and chicken, which is generally recommended, because rice is actually quite hard for a dog to digest. So Tripe is kind of like wonder food for dogs.
Amazingly, with the vets that'll usually recommend chicken and rice, it's not actually the best thing, is it?
No, I personally, like, if I didn't have any tripe, I would personally be using something like turkey or chicken and sweet potato. I tend to boil the chicken in with the sweet potato so that the meat tastes all the way through.
Brilliant.
And obviously the sweet potato I tend to leave a bit wet just to get a bit more water into them as well.
Yeah.
Just because if they're unwell, they tend to be a bit dehydrated. So that's kind of the best thing if you haven't got tripe.
Right,
So tripe sticks, even though they're smelly, go for them. They're really they are really worth it.
You can customise the boxes as well, but like Claire said, if you were really put off by the tripe, then you can customise it to not have one in. But if you can stomach it, it's really good for the dogs.
Yeah, oh definitely.
Yeah.
So next one is a puffed pig snout. Very much you can see exactly what it is. So whilst we appreciate they are a bit disgusting and it takes a bit of a kind of getting used to, I think my mother has walked in many times to my house and been like, what is that? And I just am like, it is a natural thing for the dogs to eat like this. They were never brought up created to eat kibble. So the more kind of natural products we can give them, the better kind of in terms of in terms of their health and everything. So just a puffed pig snout. It's not going to last a massive amount of time, but it gives a good bit of chew, and again different proteins. It is obviously worth noting that pork is a higher fat protein. So what you can do is you can choose proteins or kind of pick proteins that you don't want, and kind of you can customize the box to make it fit with you. It might be that your dog has a certain allergy to certain proteins, very common. So you can kind of work your box around your dog. Brilliant. So just pop that down there. Then we've got a ear. So I think, let me just check what we got here. So this is, I think, a venison ear. So again, different protein, different types of ear. You can get them with the hair on or the hair off. The reason I tend to like the hair on, and we've got some down here. So this is a venison ear with hair on. And the reason I like the hair on is that it is a natural wormer. Yeah. So as it goes through, it kind of drags all of kind of any kind of worms or eggs or anything out, and it just adds to kind of a very healthy gut and kind of makes a really good healthy dog. Good natural worm. Yeah. Natural so the bottom. Exactly, definitely. So the bottom's thicker, gives them a really good chew. So they tend to start at the top and work their way down. Sometimes you'll get a dog to eat like half of it, eat half of it, and then kind of come back to it later. My dog definitely wouldn't do that. she wouldn't dare to leave any. But yeah, so fantastic. This will take a while to get through. So you can, I quite often give my dog this whilst I'm having my dinner, so she's busy doing her own thing and kind of not bothering and trying to get my food. So there the ears. So. Next we've got a couple of chicken feet. So just literally dried chicken feet. Yes, they look very odd. Bit like kind of dragon's feet, aren't they? So just dehydrated and dried. And whilst they do have bone in them, the way they are air dried means that they are safe for the dogs. And a bit of bone in a dog's diet is fantastic. It gives them calcium, and it is a natural, if they were eating kind of in the wild, they would be eating bones and kind of all sorts of. Absolutely. You've got tendons, and it's very gelatinous. I once went to a Chinese restaurant and had chicken feet. Wasn't my favourite actually, but hey, you have to give it a go, don't you? So these will be a quick treat. Gone in literally about 30 seconds, depending on the size of your dog. Just a nice little kind of extra treat that you can have around. So Adam, do you want to talk about this?
Okay, so this is a bull pizzle, and these come in all different shapes and sizes, so no prizes for guessing what part of the bull they're from. And actually this is only part of it. There's a longer version.
You can actually get them about this long, so yeah.
And again, long, something that the dogs can pin between their paws. and then get a good kind of chew down on. One quick thing to mention with big chews, like because we mentioned about longer pizzles, is that some dogs, when they've got it, they'll go off and not so much panic, but they'll try and bury it somewhere. And if that's the case, what I've usually found is that the item itself is too big and the dog doesn't feel like they can take it on at that moment in time, so they go off and kind of hide it somewhere or bury it or try and save it for later. So if that is the case, you just shorten the item down to start with, just get them into the active chewing, and then you start to increase the size. But bull pizzles, for Finn especially, this is one of his favourites, and that will take him probably about 15 to 20 minutes to get through something like that. It's really quite dense, quite hard, and as we said, it comes in different sizes as well.
And thicknesses as well. You can actually get them for really, up to kind of like really thick, and it just means that your dog's kept busier for longer.
That's right.
So it is one of those ones where it takes a little while to get used to. And if anyone asks what it is, you don't generally have to answer.
Pizzle is absolutely fine.
Everyone knows what it is. So definitely. Cool. Right, the next one is a beef tail. So just part of the tail. Got a few bones in, but they're pretty tiny. All dried naturally. So whilst it does look like the skin is kind of bleached or something, it's not. They're just dried naturally, and it's just their natural colour after removal of the hair. Noodle quite likes these. They come in different thicknesses as well, different parts of the tail. So the thinner bits at the bottom to the thick bits right at the top. But yeah, nice kind of good sized chew. Keep them busy for a while. So cracking. Then we just got some braided lamb. So this is just literally lamb dried and then braided, or braided and then dried actually. And the reason we like the braided is it takes them a little bit longer. It's good for their teeth, so they've really got to chew on that. And also it's less likely to kind of get stuck in their mouths or anything like that. So fantastic bit of chews there. Then what we got next? So we've got just a pork bite. So that's part of the inner ear. Parts of you'll get bits of the ear, bits of the kind of like discarded bits. Nice kind of little pork bite for a sneaky treat.
Yeah. Great,
they love it. Then what we got here? So we've just got some coins as well. So these are kind of more treats rather than kind of chews. And they're from a company called JR Pet Products, which is 100% natural, all ethically sourced. It's a fantastic company, and these are great. I use these for recall because I feel that one whole one, if they're recalled from something really difficult, that's worth coming back to.
Definitely, that's an impressive reward.
Yeah, and the thing is that you want to reward heavily for that recall, so I'm happy to trade one coin for a good recall.
Definitely. Yeah.
So definitely. And these come in different flavours. So these ones are salmon, and they don't smell actually. But you can get all sorts of duck, chicken, all sorts of proteins, which is fab. We've got a couple of rabbit's ears here. So this is a really quick chew. My dog gets through these pretty quickly actually. But again, great for kind of worming and just a nice little chew. Sometimes you just add it into their dinner or something like that. Yeah. So great little thing. Then we've got a bit of beef biltong. So this is just literally beef meat, all dried. You can break that up or give it as a nice chew. And it kind of you get thicker bits and thinner bits. So it means that they have to explore that with their mouths. And just kind of a nice kind of addition to the box. Yeah. And then a bit of lamb lung. So lung is something that dogs absolutely
really strong smell for dogs.
Really strong smell. You can use. I tend to use this for kind of outdoor treats only.
Yeah.
I break it all up. I tend to put it in a plastic bag. Get my hammer out. Get my hammer out from the kitchen. And just kind of knock it into pieces, and then you can kind of just take it out, use it as treats, because they tend to be more of an outdoor treat than an indoor treat, because they're nice and high value. That's right. So that's pretty much it. So I just think this is just fantastic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give my dog any other treats other than the natural treats now. She loves them, so you can't really go wrong, really.
No, I love the fact that it's just delivered as well.
Yeah.
I don't even have to go out to buy it. It's just there. It's on the doorstep. The dog knows exactly when it arrives as well.
Yeah.
And it just keeps them busy for a month until we get the next one.
And you don't even have to order that next box. It's just a subscription box. Turns up, and you can adjust it as you're going along. So say you try something, the dog says no, you just email them and say, oh, next time can you not put this in?
Yeah. So it's a really good system.
Yeah.